Welcome to the Beyond the Scope podcast presented by NDMD Productions and made possible by Augusta Podcasts, your one-stop shop for launching your podcast. Let Augusta Podcasts do all the heavy lifting and give you the tools that you need to turn your podcast dreams into a reality. Learn more at augustapodcast.com/NDMD. I am your host, Andy, second-year medical student, and joined in the co-host seat by fellow second-year medical student Mehul.
And today is a really special day, actually. It's actually our first ever episode of the Beyond the Scope podcast. If you are familiar with the NDMD YouTube channel, you know that we love sharing stories from students, residents, and attendings of their different medical perspectives as doctors and healthcare workers, but as incredible people as well. And that's the goal of this podcast.
And this podcast will continue that goal of sharing the stories and experiences of those awesome people who I am so fortunate to call my peers, colleagues, and friends. But here we'll have some more long-form and free-flowing conversations that aren't restricted to just 73 questions. And they'll be about the things medical training doesn't teach you, beyond the scope of our practice, if you will. So things like getting engaged, planning weddings as a medical student, how to build up mentorship and student organizations to impact your community, and even investing as a student, and so much more. I'm so excited to launch this, as it's been an idea of mine for so long, and I'm really looking forward to highlighting some awesome people and some awesome guests along the way. So with that being said, let's introduce today's guests.
Yeah, so we'd like to introduce today's guests, Samer Yassin and Reggie Benson. They're both representatives from the Black Men of MCG student organization at Augusta University. And today they'll be sharing their path to med school, their personal experiences during med school, and how they came up with this organization and continue to maintain it for MCG students.
Thanks for having us. First, I want to say shout out Mom, shout out Dad. Love y'all.
I appreciate y'all having us on, for real.
Dude, thank you so much for being here. So, Samer, you are a fellow second-year medical student.
Something like that.
Yeah. And Reggie, you're a first year, right?
I'm new to the game.
Hey, man, you're killing it. But go ahead and speak on your path to medical school and how you ended up at MCG.
Absolutely. So, I think my path to medical school was kind of a young one. I mean, I felt like I always wanted to be a doctor. It's going to sound really funny, and you can laugh. I won't get upset. I will kind of get upset, but go ahead and laugh if you want. So it really kind of started in the first grade for me. And, like, just the human body and, like, all the intricacies kind of really fascinated me. Not all the nitty-gritty details that, like, we learn now, but, like, the little things. Like, how do I have one tongue that tastes like how bitter broccoli is? My mom used to feed me broccoli all the time. I hate it. But how come that same tongue can taste how sweet Skittles are and Twinkies are, right? How do I have one finger that feels how cold an ice cube is, but how hot the stove is? I was a kid that touched stoves. I did a lot of stupid things, right? And that curiosity just kind of carried me. At the really young stages, I don't know if kids watch Brain Pop anymore with Tim and Moby, but I used to.
Oh, God. What a throwback.
Classic. Bangers. Just watching, like, random, like, bio videos on that, right?
I'm having flashbacks right now.
Right?
Yeah,
And then kind of that just carried on also into middle school, high school. I went to, like, a STEM-based school. Right, so I got a little bit more exposure to a little bit more biology, and I was like, okay, I really do like this. And then I got into college and decided to pursue a career, not a career, but I guess a degree in biology, because that's what I really like, the human body. And just every step along the way, I was like, I really like this, but biology isn't necessarily a career, so there's something that has to come after it. I've always kind of been a social butterfly, so I thought maybe medicine. And to where I discovered medicine was just volunteering, shadowing, interning. I studied abroad in Greece at a hospital for 3 months. I worked at Atlanta Medical Center, Dr. Kane, with orthopedics for 6 months. Volunteered for Grady for 3 years. And just every step of the way, it came back and I said, I really like this. And then at that point, I was like, why not? And just kind of dove into it, applied, was fortunate to get in, and kind of pursue my first couple steps into being a doctor and really giving back to the communities I come from.
Cool.
Well
So
said.
for me, so kind of the opposite. So I really didn't know I was going to apply to med school until 2019. Which is a lot later than a lot of people do. I knew that I wanted to go into healthcare. Both of my parents are nurses, so I kind of grew up around the healthcare field. I would go see my parents. My dad worked at Grady for 20-something years, so I would go see my parents and, kind of get exposure to the healthcare field. But when I got to undergrad at AU, I didn't know that medicine is the route I was going to go as far as medical school, but I knew I wanted to do something health related. So initially I came in wanting to do physical therapy. I worked out a lot. I had to do my own physiotherapy. I was an athlete. So, I was, really interested in that. And then as time went on, I kind of went through a cycle of just going through different medical fields. I looked at PT, PA, nursing, OT, and ultimately I arrived at medical school. And after kind of going through undergrad and life and just having these different experiences, I realized that becoming a physician is something that I saw myself doing, and that's how I ended up applying to medical school.
Absolutely. It's funny that your parents worked at Grady. My dad works at Grady.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, exactly,
Small world.
dude.
Yeah.
Dude, well, speaking of your dad, is he a physician?
Nah, man. He wishes. He really wants to be a physician, but he's an engineer.
Gotcha.
Voice over IP engineering. So he's not a physician, but if you asked him in his heart of heart, he's a physician.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked is because one of the big topics we want to talk about today is mentorship and just how important it is in the pre-med process. I know I had a couple of mine, and I remember the summer that I decided I wanted to go to medical school, I was in a clinical research lab with 2 transitioning M1s to M2s, and they absolutely took me under their wing, showed me what it was like to live as a medical student. And that's when I was like, this is it. This is the life for me. So I want to ask you guys, as you're going through the process, and it seems like you've had pretty different paths, did you have mentors?
I'll let you take it first, boss.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I am a big proponent of mentorship. I think it's huge, not only for pre-meds, but for everyone. But especially in pre-meds, just because for me there was so much uncertainty because I didn't even know if I wanted to apply to med school in the first place. So I had a lot of mentors helping me make that decision to, figure out, if I even wanted to apply. And then once I started applying, just getting through the entire process is so long-winded. But ultimately, mentors along the way, it's almost a necessity. I mean, having somebody who has either gone through, the path that you want to go through, or somebody giving you a different perspective, I mean, it just provides so much support to really help you get to where you want to go. And, yeah, I think mentorship is huge. Going through AU, shout out to Jerry Oliver. He was a huge mentor I had there. He kind of helped me figure out first if I wanted to go to medicine, and then, the steps I should do to get there. So he helped me get in touch with my PI, get research opportunities, shadowing, physician mentors. So really, big shout out to him. And it's essential, honestly.
For me, I think mentorship is kind of like Reggie said, it's a necessity. And I was blessed to have a lot of mentors because I feel like a lot of people can do medicine, but it's really hard to get into it without people that can guide you, right? It's a really convoluted kind of steps that you have to take in order to get to where you want to go. So 3 of my biggest mentors, the first would be Samer and Samira. Not saying Samer myself. We like the name Samer and derivatives of Samer. They're actually cousins of mine, first cousins, and they're residents now. They're both third-year residents. One at Tulane for internal medicine. Samira is a third-year resident for emergency medicine at Emory. And they were the trailblazers in my family to do medicine because no one in my family's ever done medicine or anything that even equated to a career in healthcare. So just being able to kind of look after their footsteps and be able to ask them questions. What's the MCAT like? They went to Georgia State as well. I went to Georgia State. Asking them what classes should I take? Because there's so many classes. What's actually relevant? What do I need to know? When I got to medical school, how should I study? Is Anki really what? Should I really do it? Answer is no. I hate Anki. Anki, I'm looking at you. This giant first aid book, is it for show? Should I really buy it? Right? Little questions like that seem silly, but it's just nice to have somebody that can answer it. And then Dr. Kane. I worked under Dr. Kane for 6 months with orthopedic surgery. And just a wonderful guy in the sense that sometimes I feel like people's idea of physician is that they're very focused in their work and kind of stoic, kind of, really rigid. But Dr. Kane showed me that a physician can be kind of himself. I feel like it's kind of perpetuated in the career of medicine that you can no longer be yourself and you have to be professional always. And by no means was he not a professional, but he joked with his patients the same way he joked with anybody else, right? They'd laugh together, they would cry together. Things that kind of just showed true emotion and things that I wasn't willing to sacrifice in any aspect of myself, right? I never want to do anything that compromises who I am. So watching Dr. Kane be able to be his truest, authentic self while pursuing medicine and having a great career sounds like he's done, while continuing his great career, was just awesome. And then Dr. Eilertson at Georgia State University. she was someone that kind of believed in me when many people didn't believe in me. I always kind of have been a goofball. And I think that she knew Samir and Samira. Samir and Samira went under her as well. And she kind of just pulled me aside one day and was like, you kind of can't ride the coattails of your cousins. You know, what they did is great, but you got to stand on your own. And she just really continued to push me. I remember our first exam that we had in a class called like Applied Medical Human Physiology. Got like a 40-something, like terrible. And she straight up told me like, look, you should drop. Not saying not to do medicine, but you should drop this and come back. And I was like, I'm not going to drop this. And she's like, that's the answer I wanted to hear. Just to kind of see where my resolve was. And I rocked through that course, ended up with a B+, not what I wanted, but I mean, pretty good. Because then our exams are like 25% of our grade, that specific exam that I got like a 40 on. So kind of rocked through with that. She put me in a cadaver lab for 6 months where I got to go through anatomy kind of the same way that we do now. That was awesome of her. She taught me so much pathophysiology. She taught me how to read EKGs, ultrasounds, radiology, just a bunch of, blood work. She just really taught me a lot. She put me in contact with Dr. Kane to begin with. She sent me abroad in Greece and got me connections to a hospital. Just someone that really believed in me and pushed me along. And of course, Mom and Dad. None of this would be possible without them. They're from my rock. And even though they're not in medicine, I'd be ashamed to not mention the influence they had in my life. So yeah, it's long-winded, I'm sorry.
No, dude, that's awesome. And I mean, that comes to show the power of somebody literally just saying, I believe in you. And to push you. And that means so much. And you've experienced it. I'm sure all of us at one point have experienced where somebody that we looked up to had to kind of give us a strength and courage to push forward. And I love that she was like, you should drop this. And just waiting to see that kind of resiliency. Because it takes some grit to get here, man.
Yeah,
It does.
And it takes some grit to stay in it.
Oh, for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I would like to throw on top of what Samir said, because this really stuck with me. So another thing for me was I didn't want to like lose myself in becoming a physician, because I still don't know what like becoming a physician exactly is like, but I just knew that like I wanted to stay true to who I am. I wanted to keep my personality. I didn't want to become a doctor and then not be able to tell jokes, not be able to be real, and and then so in undergrad, like just meeting these physicians that I met that were real, I was like, oh, like you don't have to lose yourself. Obviously maintain professionalism, stuff like that, but it's like you can still joke around, you can still be yourself. And once I realized that and I started meeting people, I'm like, oh, you remind me of me, and I was just like, oh, like I feel like I can do this, and I can stay true to who I am. I can still joke around and be myself. That played a huge impact as well, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great point. I think you guys really emphasized the importance of mentorship, not only personally, but in general. I think that when anyone chooses to become a physician, it's really helpful to see those who have tread that path before them.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's also relates to that student organization that you guys are a part of. Black Men of MCG was recently founded, actually, during my first year of medical school and Samir's first year of medical school.
Shout out Black Men of MCG.
Yeah, Black Men of MCG, yeah.
I got the logo.
Oh, wow.
Camera zoom in on that right there.
Hey, but put it out real quick.
Yeah.
The drip. You can't get this for free.
Yeah, true. No.
Actually, I think y'all got it for free.
Low-key.
Yeah, never.
Low-key.
Cut that. Don't cut that though.
No, that's a very fair point. I think that the stuff you guys have accomplished already on campus has already been pretty clear to all medical students at MCG. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the process it took to found it and how you guys are maintaining such a great network of individuals on our campus. So the New England Journal of Medicine recently published a study that revealed that 2.9% of current medical students are Black and male. And that, unfortunately, is extremely disproportionate with the level of a regular American population.
Absolutely.
And I think that this is a really key reason why healthcare disparities exist in the way they are, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic revealing all of those disparities. Right. So building off of that, and I know this might have been a contributing factor to the founding of the organization, I wanted to ask you guys from your experiences. I know that Reggie came in this year as an M1, but Samir, you've been there since the beginning as well, right? So I'd like to ask, like, from y'all's perspective, what was it like founding an organization. Medical College of Georgia has plenty of student organizations that are really successful in doing what they accomplish. But I think your organization is really, really special because you allow networking and mentorship and all these other factors that we've already discussed and their importance. And you do it in such a streamlined fashion that I think not only could other student organizations learn from you, but also other institutions, right? So I'd love to have you guys speak to the process of founding the organization and maintaining it till today.
No problem. I guess I can speak a little bit to like the process of founding it. So funny enough, I wasn't one of the founders. I kind of saw like, oh, this might be something good and let me jump on it. No, it wasn't really like that, but it was so much like, so the founders, there was 5 of them, I'm pretty sure. It was in our class, our M2 class, Remy and Kenneth. And then in the M3 year above us, Raymond, Ryan, Akwasi, and Sauvere. I'm pretty sure it's so that's 6. My math is terrible, wow. And essentially, they all came together and noticed something that we all noticed. That there just isn't many black individuals in medicine, especially at MCG, right? There's just not too many of us. And retention is a really big thing. It's one thing to get here. I think we've all alluded to it. It's hard enough to get here, but it's even harder to stay here. And we wanted to ensure, they wanted to ensure that there was a space for us to kind of support each other, to build each other up, and just to kind of hang, relax, and just know that there's someone that looks like you, that acts like you, that comes from a similar background as you, don't do the exact same things you are, and create an open space where we can kind of comfort each other and be there for each other. Just be brothers, right? And that's kind of where Black Men of MCG was founded. After they founded it, of course, an organization can't be just of 6 members, right? And that's when they started pushing it to our class and the M1 class, and we all kind of joined from there. And I mean, joining was one of the best things that I've done, I think, in medical school. It's definitely my favorite organization. And I'm in a lot of organizations, and no disrespect to any of them, but it's just something special about being able to do I was really fortunate to have so many great mentors. So it's just something really special for me to be in an organization that's so focused on giving back, so focused to, hey, we made it, but we're going to make sure that the people that come after us have the exact same tools, actually not exact same tools, better tools, right? They have the knowledge that we have, so they don't have to learn the hard way, because we learned the hard way, right? And kind of set up this foundation for success. And I mean, I'm so happy that I joined, and I'm so happy that Reggie and the M1 kind of get to carry the torch.
Yeah, I will say, my perspective, I wasn't here for the founding, so I, couldn't be involved in that. But having the org already being founded before I even got here was just amazing, because before I even started medical school, they were already reaching out. They were contacting me really around the time I got accepted. They were reaching out, contacting me. They were on the second look, and we were meeting with them on Teams and stuff like that. And then I also did pre-matric over the summer. So I spent a lot of time around them. All of us spent a lot of time around Black Men MCG over the summer. And, it just created an environment where I was like, we all felt welcomed. The mentorship started immediately. The networking started immediately. The help started immediately. And we hadn't even started medical school yet. Yeah. So I was like, what this organization is doing is just, it's just beneficial, and then it's helped just insurmountably, honestly.
Absolutely. Like, one thing my dad always told me was, it's one thing to learn from your own mistakes. You much rather learn from other people's mistakes. And not saying that they learn from our mistakes, but it's just, it's really helpful to be able to ask somebody, how did this work? How useful was this study content tool? Does this help? Does this not, right? Having someone that's been there and done that is awesome. And it's really, you can't buy that. I guess you can buy mentorship, but like not really, right? So yeah.
No, I think speaking to that aspect on mentorship, I think what Black Men of MCG proves is that once you create an organization, it outlasts the individual. Like, despite the people who founded it, or for the people who maintain it or lead it right now, like Reggie, right? You guys know that organization is going to continue for years and years beyond, right?
Absolutely.
So you're making an impact on the future generations of physicians that you might not even meet in person, right? Because you're setting up a standard for others to follow
Absolutely.
suit.
And it's even, I mean, the awesome thing is kind of what you said, the sustainability, but it's really cool because, I mean, at some point, hopefully we're all physicians with, great careers and doing great things, right? We'll never forget where we came from, right? And then whenever we reach that point, we'll always be able to reach out. When we're residents, we'll be there, right? When we're attendings, we'll be there. When we're retired, I mean, I'll try to still be there. I don't know if I'll be in Georgia anymore, but the idea is we're connected to it forever, right? And just being able to know that you're part of something bigger, it's an awesome feeling.
No, and speaking about being a part of something bigger, you guys mentored a whole bunch of students so far, and you guys continue to do so. And I wanted to ask more about like what specific strategies and actions you guys take as Black Men of MCG, right, in order to promote mentorship and engage in it yourselves. Like if you guys have any examples or anything like that, I think it'd be really useful for our audience to see what these real life examples are and maybe institute them in their own medical schools or pre-medical curriculums.
Right.
Like you just said, promotion, and then really just going out and doing. There gets to a certain point to where, talking about, oh, we want to mentor and we want to reach out. At some point you got to do. At some point you got to reach out to the undergrads. At some point you have to reach out to the high schoolers, or you have to just show up, So, for example, this past Monday, a few of us from Black Men of MCG, a few of our M1s, we went to Augusta University. They were having a AAMI event, which is African American Male Initiative. So we just showed up and just started talking to them after the event, getting their perspective, seeing who was interested in medicine and who wasn't. And even if you aren't interested in medicine, like we're still here to help, any advice we could give you or anything like that. But the biggest thing is just reaching out and actually doing, going out and just finding those in need, finding those you can help and kind of impact their lives, and just going and doing it.
Absolutely. I'm saying absolutely a lot. I'm going to start switching it up. I'm going to use synonyms, like for sure. And yeah, but I think the biggest thing I'd say for anybody that's creating an organization like this is just make sure you're in it for the right reasons. I think it's easy to do things like this for reasons other than just wanting to help out. Maybe you're looking for the fame. Maybe you're looking for, grant money. Maybe you're looking for clout.
Right.
And that just isn't why you should do things like this. We should all just take a moment to reflect on people that were able to help us get here. And if that doesn't inspire you to want to give back to somebody the exact same way somebody gave to you, then I don't know what will, honestly. Like Reggie said, you just do it. And I'll add, just do it for the right reasons. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, all the secondary things that don't really matter will come eventually, right? If you're looking for recognition, if you're doing it for the right reasons, they'll come. But never do these things for, I want to be recognized. I want to do it so a residency coordinator sees it and, accepts me and yada, yada, yada. Because people can see through fake intentions, right? We've all dealt with people that we kind of look at and you're like, suspicious, right? We've been there, done that, right? But it's kind of corny to say, but real recognize real.
Right.
If you're doing it for the real reasons and real genuine, you will affect people and touch them in a way that the other intentions and other motivations just won't.
Right.
Dude, that's awesome. And the crazy thing is I can actually speak to just how incredible your events are, because I've been the photographer and videographer at multiple of y'all's events. And I've seen how amazing, literally from the top down, from attendings to residents to M4s, M3s, M2s, and now with the incoming M1s. And it's just going to have this trickle-down effect. And the word that's been on my mind ever since you guys have started talking about this is legacy. Because that is what you have created here. And, even for me, I wish I had an organization like this in undergrad or med school, because I believe I was one of 12 East Asians in my graduating class of 321 in high school. And so, having that mentorship that looks like you, that knows your background, I think is just an incredible initiative that you guys have taken on, and you've done some incredible work in it.
For sure.
I appreciate it.
No, I think that it's very clear at this point that you guys are the standard for which other student organizations are going to follow going forward. Not only have you created something that's built to last, but you've created something that's effective. I'll just give an example. One of your previous events that impressed me so much, you set up a Teams call across numerous states and numerous residency programs, from plastic surgeons to spine surgeons to current medical students.
That roster was stacked. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
that
lie.
roster was stacked. I've never seen a panel that stacked, honestly.
Antron did amazing.
Yes.
I can't.
Antron did a great job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's a shout out to Antron, who's one of the members of Black Men of MCG. And I think what really shows from that turnout not only for the students who came to watch, but also the attendings and residents and medical students who came to speak, is that shows and adds to the credibility of your organization, right? Because they wouldn't show up unless they thought they were making a difference. Right. And I think by creating a multifaceted approach where you do in-person events, where you hold teams panels, where you do networking opportunities, and you also hang out together and have social experiences, right? I mean, your Instagram is probably the most active of all the student organizations I know, which is a huge, huge factor in promotion and getting the word out there that, hey, this is something that is available for every person, right? And at the end of the day, it's going to also improve what I think is the disparity currently in medical education, because it makes it more accessible to those pre-medical students who are thinking, hey, I want to apply to MCG or I want to apply to a medical school, but can I really do it? Right. Has there been someone before me who's done it? And you guys are those people, right?
Visibility is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, people can tell you, you can do this, you can do that, and you should always believe in yourself and your abilities. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who will believe in you? But it's just something different about seeing someone that lived a very similar life to you, doing what you aspire to do. Because it doesn't get any realer than that.
Exactly. Well, with that being said, I think I got 2 more questions for you to wrap things up. First one being, we've talked about mentorship this entire time. Right. What would be your one word of advice to any prospective medical students right now?
Believe in yourself. I hit on it prior, but this road is one filled with roadblocks, unexpected events, I don't want to say tragedies. Tragedies is a little too strong of a word. Whatever a word is, things that you don't want to happen that might disencourage you to not want to do medicine, those will all happen. It's inevitable. There's just so many roadblocks to getting to medicine. And there will always people that will kind of maybe doubt you, right? Maybe they won't say it out loud, but they don't necessarily see you achieving what you dream of achieving, right? And that's fine, but don't ever let them decide what your faith is. Everyone has a different, I consider getting to medical school a tunnel, right? You don't know how long your tunnel is. You don't know how many twists and turns it's going to have. We all finish at different times, right? There's a BSMD program. Those guys finish and get in medical school 3 years. You have the classical 4 years of undergrad, MCAT, get in that way. Maybe 4 years undergrad doesn't do that for you. Master's program you get in. 4 years undergrad didn't do it. Master's didn't do it. Some people go get a job, get in. Some people don't even know they want to do medicine, have an entire career, right? And then come back to it. But all those people, the one thing that we all have in common is at some point we realized that we wanted to do medicine, and no matter what anybody told us, we continued to pursue it. No matter how old we were, no matter how young we were, no matter how many people believed in us or didn't believe in us, the road to getting to medicine will only stop if you stop it. So I just challenge anybody to continue that fight and continue to do everything that you can. And with that comes humility and being able to understand that you won't know everything. I mean, I'm an M2, I still don't know everything, right? There's doctors out there and surgeons and residents, they don't know everything, and they'll tell you that, right? But it's very powerful to know that you don't know something and to ask. So anywhere along this road where you feel down, you might need help, reach out to somebody. It could be myself, it could be Reggie, it could be Mehul, it could be Andy. We all know what it's like to kind of be there, right? We all know what that feels like. So always believe in yourself, never quit, never buy into the hate, right? And never buy into your hype from other people. Just stay true to yourself and what you believe in. And believe it or not, what you want will come true. Just got to stick with it.
Yeah, so I definitely second that. The biggest thing I would say is just you just can't give up. It's going to get hard. It's not an easy road at all. Even getting to medical school itself is not easy. And then once you get in medical school, staying is not easy. Residency, it goes on forever. But you just can't give up. You can't quit. And you just have to find what works for you, whether that's your free time, what you do in your free time. You have to understand that life does go on outside of medicine, outside of applying to medical school. Of course, do what you need to do in the classroom, in the hospital, things like that. But you just can't give up. You can't get bogged down. You're going to have highs. You're going to have lows. Can't let the highs get too high. Can't let the lows get too low. But just continuing your journey. Don't compare yourself to others. Everybody is so different.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the one.
The routes that you go, once you get to medical school, you realize that just everybody's journey is different. You have different ages, gap years, majors, just so many differences. But at the end of the day, we will all become physicians. you know, and we're all going to be great physicians. So however you get there, just get there and just make sure you don't quit along the way. And then, you know, it'll all work out.
Incredibly well said, both of you guys. Last thing I have, where can the folks listening and watching find Black Men MCG? And if you guys are comfortable, you guys.
I don't remember our Instagram tag.
I think it's just at. I think it's literally just at.
You want to look it up real quick?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna look it up.
I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, I think it's just at Black Men at MCG.
Let's give it to them for sure.
Yeah.
Come on. How did we?
There it is. There it is.
There it is. All right. It's on Instagram at Black Men MCG. Not Black Men MCG. Give us a follow, a like or two, and then to reach out to me, or follow me at NoLimitYassin _ NOLIMITYASSIN _ at Instagram. Throw me a few likes, you know. I always take it, a little comment, you know, get my likes up. But all jokes aside, you know, feel free to reach out about anything. No matter how big or how small, I'm always going to be happy to reach out.
My Instagram is, I think it's 2 underscores, Reggie with 4 E's. So that's complex. So __ REGGIEEEE.
You could tell there was someone that had 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, and he was like, well, I'm going to just keep on going.
But if you look up Reggie Benson, it should show up. But same as Samer, just feel free to reach out. If you ever have any questions, if you ever need any mentorship, just shoot me a message and I'll get back to you. Feel free to reach out if you ever need anything.
If you ever want to hoop, you know, I ain't going to say I'm Kobe, rest in peace Kobe, but as far as MCG goes, I run it. Yeah, well, actually, no, Elijah kind of runs it. Well, he ain't here, I run it. So if y'all ever want to hoop, just come out.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Samer and Reggie, for sharing your stories and experiences. All your contact information will be linked in the description of the YouTube version as well as the show notes. With that being said, go follow Beyond the Scope on all the streaming platforms, as well as if you would like to see the video version of us being goofballs on camera, follow and subscribe to NDMD on YouTube.
You know what to do, guys.
Appreciate it, y'all.
Bow.
Nice. Thank you so much for watching or listening to the Beyond the Scope podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's guests, and to make sure that you don't miss a single episode, make sure that you follow Beyond the Scope on all streaming platforms, as well as if you want to see the full video cut, subscribe to my YouTube channel, NDMD. As always, subscribe, like, follow, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.